From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. urged the leadership of the Social Security System or SSS and Government Service Insurance System or GSIS to uphold the integrity of public pension funds and ensure investments are made wisely and responsibly. Speaking at the SSS's 68th anniversary and launch of the 2025 Pension Reform Program, President Marcos emphasized that the pension institutions hold the trust of millions of hardworking Filipinos. GSIS provides social security coverage to state workers while SSS covers private sector employees. The president's remarks came after the reported investment losses incurred by GSIS, particularly involving ventures in online gaming operations, a controversial issue that has sparked concerns over the safety and appropriateness of public fund placements. Without directly naming the incident, President Marcos made a clear call for caution, urging both pension funds to invest wisely and modernize their systems and streaming processes, especially in remote areas where access to services remains limited.
Huwag nating kakalimutan na ang bawat kontribusyon ng ating mga miyembro ay bunga ng kanilang pagsisikap at sakripisyo. Kaya naman, tungkulin natin na tiyakin na sa oras ng kanilang pangangailangan ay nandiyan tayo, handang umalalay at magbigay ng ginhawa sa kanila. And that is why I direct the leadership of these two institutions to guard this trust with the highest integrity and vigilance. So, invest wisely, modernize your systems and make your processes efficient. Ensure that your services are easier to reach, be it through digital platforms or help desks and kiosks, even in the most remote areas. Make sure your services are available whenever the need arises, wherever the need arises. Let us protect the lifetime of work that our pensioners have built for themselves and for our country.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Wednesday announced that more than 3.8 million pensioners will benefit from a historic multi-year increase in Social Security System or SSS pensions starting this September. During the ceremonial launch of the SSS Pension Reform Program held at the SSS main office in Quezon City, President Marcos emphasized the government's commitment to protect and reward Filipino workers in their retirement years. This initiative marks the first time in the SSS's 68-year history that pension increases will be rolled out over multiple years. Under the reform, retirement and disability pensioners will receive a 10% increase annually, while death or survivorship pensioners will get a 5% yearly hike from 2025 to 2027. The increase, which covers retirees, dependents, and surviving beneficiaries, is expected to inject about 93 billion pesos into the economy over 3 years, helping pensioners afford basic needs such as food and medicine.
Kailangan natin gawin ito bilang pasasalamat sa ating mga kababayan na buong buhay na naglilingkod, nagtatrabaho para sa ating bansa. Simula nung unang araw ng Setyembre ng taong ito, itinaas na natin ang inyong buwanang pensyon. At taon-taon, ito'y tataas hanggang 2027 na walang dagdag na kontribusyon mula sa mga miyembro ng SSS. Kasama rito ang 10% pagtaas para sa mga retirement at disability pensioners at 5% pagtaas para sa survivorship pension. Tataas din ang pensyon para sa mga dependent. Sa kabuuan, Mahigit 3,800,000 pensioner ang makikinabang dito sa programang ito. At sa loob ng 3 taon, halos 73 bilyong piso ang mailalabas para sa ating mga pensioner para makabili ng gamot, ng pagkain at iba pang mga pangangailangan nila.
The President said this is part of government efforts to ensure ginhawa sa bagong Pilipinas or comfort in the new Philippines, reflecting fair and timely social protection. The SSS has assured that the pension hike would not require any increase in member contributions, unlike the 1,000 pesos across-the-board benefit granted in 2017, which led to subsequent hikes in contributions to maintain the fund's viability. The event also marked the declaration of National Pensioners Week to be observed every second week of September.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said his administration's moves to take over failing utilities are not driven by personal rifts with powerful business families, stressing that ensuring reliable water and electricity supply remains the priority. In his latest podcast episode, the president addressed the government's takeover of Siquijor Island Power Corporation or SIPCOR, a Villar-owned power firm. President Marcos said the decision was made to immediately restore electricity service after prolonged outages.
Sabi ko, hindi na tayo pwedeng mag-antay. Kawawang tao eh. So sabi ko, kunin na natin tayo na magpatakbo. NEA na magpatakbo, DOE, the Department of Energy, kayo na magpatakbo nito. Tapos isama ninyo yung local electrical cooperative. Between all of you, patakbuhin na nyo na yan para may kuryente na. So now, they have, nagdala pa kami ng generator, pati yung tangke ng crudo, kami pang nagdala dahil sira-sira, basta hindi ginagawa. So now, meron silang excess capacity. I was there yesterday. Maayos naman ang patakbo.
Sabi ng SIPCOR, they will resort to legal means?
Yung mahalaga sa akin magkaroon ng kuryente. So gagawin ko kung anong kailangan kong gawin para magkaroon ng kuryente.
Paano yung mga ibang electric cooperative na medyo poor service din, dapat ba matakot na rin sila?
The electrical cooperatives were created with the consumers as members. Yun ang concept behind that. So that lahat ng kumukuha ng kuryente doon sa electrical cooperative na yan, membro sila. So yun ang trabaho lang ng electrical cooperative ay kumuha ng kuryente sa national grid at i-distribute sa local. Over the years, ang mga linagay sa sa board ng electrical cooperative, political appointee. Walang alam doon sa patakbo ng electrical cooperative. Kaya nagkaganyan.
Same for
Every
water
time you
service.
make it political, the competence level drops. I'm sorry. But that's the fact of the matter.
Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH asked the Department of Justice or DOJ for the issuance of an Immigration Lookout Bulletin Order or ILBO against former Secretary Manuel Bonoan, among others, in connection with the investigation into anomalous flood control projects. In a one-page letter addressed to DOJ Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon also sought an ILBO against Mayor Rene Maglange of Candaba, Pampanga, and officials of MBB Global Properties Corporation, namely Macy Monique Maglange, President, Sunshine Bernardo, Corporate Secretary, and Fatima Gay de la Cruz, Treasurer. An investigation is being conducted on DPWH officials and key officers of construction companies allegedly involved in ghost projects and or substandard construction of flood control projects. The DPWH chief has requested for the issuance of ILBOs against several officials and contractors to avoid delaying the ongoing investigation. following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s order to hold accountable those who may be involved in anomalies. He likewise asked the Bureau of Immigration or BI and other law enforcement agencies to be on alert to prevent any attempt by those on the watch list to leave the country. An ILBO is for monitoring purposes only and is not in and by itself sufficient to prohibit the subject's departure from the Philippines. If encountered, BI officers are instructed to promptly relay to the DOJ and the House of Representatives any pertinent information regarding the travel and to check if there are freshly issued orders against the subject.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD Secretary Rex Cajalian presented the agency's priority programs before members of the House of Representatives as he defended the DSWD's proposed 223.2 billion pesos budget for 2026, including allocations for attached and supervised agencies. He said the proposed budget will sustain flagship programs such as the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4Ps, the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations or AICS, Supplementary Feeding Program or SFP, and Sustainable Livelihood Program SLP. For the 4Ps, the 2026 budget under the NEP is 113 billion pesos, of which 98.4 billion pesos is for cash grants, including the first 100-day grants for pregnant and lactating women. Gatchalian reported that the agency will also expand the SFP's coverage to ensure that more children will receive daily meals that support their growth, learning, and overall well-being. He also emphasized the continued implementation of the Walang Gutom program or WGP, which promotes proper nutrition and sustainable food consumption to address involuntary hunger. Among the DSWD's newest initiatives is the Pag-Abot program, which helps families and individuals in street situations or FISS return to their homes or places of origin and eventually get reintegrated to their communities. The Tarabasa Tutoring Program or TBTP was also highlighted as a reformated education assistance initiative that engages college students and youth development workers as tutors and learning assistants, while also providing cash for work support to parents. As of July 2025, the TBTP has deployed more than 6,500 tutors and 3,200 youth workers, reaching over 55,000 learners. Gatchalian also underscored the DSWD's critical role in disaster response, saying that the agency's disaster response programs will continue to provide immediate relief, early recovery support, and resilience building measures for communities affected by natural and human-induced calamities. Several members of the House of Representatives manifested their support for increasing the budget of the DSWD for some of its programs and services. Referring to the 2026 allotted budget for the SLP, Negros Occidental 6th District Representative Mercedes Alvarez said she was very saddened upon learning that the SLP budget for 2026 was reduced. Southern Leyte 1st District Representative Roger Mercado also manifested his support to the DSWD.
Dateline Malacañang.
The chief of the Anti-Red Tape Authority or ARTA is hopeful that their request for at least 80 million pesos allocation for 2026 will be approved to further boost their capacity to investigate complaints against government personnel and agencies. ARTA Director General Ernesto Perez, in an interview on the sidelines of the launch of ARTA's Electronic Complaints Management System or ECMS at the agency's office in Quezon City on Wednesday, said their proposed budget for next year is around 490 billion pesos. Perez said their earlier request for additional lawyers has been granted by the Department of Budget and Management or DBM. He said they need more manpower to allow them to do their mandate of ensuring Ease of Doing Business, or EODB. Since the agency was established following the enactment of Republic Act, or RA 11032, or the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act on May 28, 2018, ARTA has received more than 29,000 complaints. Under the law, RA 11032 must be reviewed every 5 years, and Perez is hopeful that ARTA will be empowered further after the second review. Meanwhile, Perez and Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, Secretary Henry Aguda are optimistic for further improvement in the bureaucracy, since the public can now file complaints through ARTA's ECMS, which is available through the eGov.ph app and can accommodate complaints using 13 Philippine dialects. Perez said most government agencies have been onboarded to the ECMS, while local governments are required to have an anti-red tape committee. Citing their experiences, he said more than 99% of the complaints filed before their office have been addressed, while only a fraction of less than 1% have matured into formal complaints and are undergoing or have undergone investigation. Aguda, in turn, said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has directed the utilization of technological innovations and artificial intelligence to further serve the public, making it more transparent, efficient, and accountable. Aguda, meanwhile, said the ECMS is also in line with the Marcos administration's agenda for government digitalization and the Konektadong Pinoy Bill that seeks universal connectivity across the Philippines.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, officially launches the nationwide Unified 911, a single hotline that replaces more than 30 local emergency numbers during a ceremony at PLDT Sampaloc in the city of Manila. Guided by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directives to enhance family and community safety under Bagong Pilipinas, Unified 911 consolidates emergency access, including police, fire, medical, or disaster response into one number and a unified system that reduces delays and confusion caused by fragmented hotlines. In partnership with the Philippine National Police, or PNP, Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or BJMP, and local governments, the initiative aims to operate and continuously improve the network and response protocols. The service is free, available 24/7 and language sensitive, designed to understand and respond to calls in Tagalog, Cebuano, Ilocano, Waray, Tausug, and other Philippine languages. The target response time is 5 minutes, with trained call takers ready to calm and assist callers in crisis. The DILG emphasizes that Unified 911 is more than just a technical reform. It reflects the President's belief that public safety strengthens communities by minimizing delays and coordinating responders. The hotline gives families confidence that they are safer at home, in the streets, and in every barangay.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, reported that the number of new entrants in the labor force has increased. Reacting on the recent labor force survey by the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, Labor Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma said although the unemployment rate in the country also increased, the number of new entrants in the labor force went up from 1.25 million in July 2024 to 1.7 million in July 2025. At the same time, he noted that the decline in the employment rate may be attributed to multiple tropical cyclones and an enhanced southwest monsoon, which caused widespread flooding, landslides, infrastructure damage, and operational halts across significant portions of the country, particularly in northern Luzon provinces such as Ilocos, La Union, Pangasinan, among others. Laguesma explained that the agriculture and informal sectors, which employ a large portion of the workforce, are particularly vulnerable to such weather shocks as seen in similar patterns during past monsoon seasons. While the data shows some resilience, he said the overall disruptions explain the spike in unemployment. The July 2025 LFS results from the PSA reflect a demographic shift in the surge in new entrants where a young, dynamic, and well-educated population is eager to contribute to the nation's progress. However, there is an increase in the educated unemployed individuals from 1.57 million in July 2024 to 1.122 million in July 2025, contributing to the increase in the number of unemployed individuals. While the July 2025 LFS results reflected not so favorable and encouraging details, the DOLE considered the results instructive and a call to more focused and aggressive action for the department to further improve and enhance the implementation of its programs and projects, particularly those leading to better managed school-to-work transition for the youth, new graduates, and new entrants to the labor force.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, strongly advises overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, in Doha, Qatar, to remain calm and stay indoors in light of the recent attacks in the area. In a Facebook post, the DMW urged all OFWs in Doha to observe safety measures such as stay indoors and minimize non-essential travel. Keep mobile phones charged and emergency numbers accessible. Follow host countries' security guidelines, embassy advisories, and reliable news sources for real-time updates. Stay connected with local Philippine Embassy or Migrant Workers Office or MWO and avoid sharing unverified information that may cause panic. For urgent concerns and immediate assistance, all Filipinos may contact these hotline numbers. For the Philippine Embassy, 974-4483-1585, and for MWO Doha, 974-3318-2459. OFWs and their families may also contact DMW OWA 24/7 Help Desk through these contact details: 632-1348 for Viber and WhatsApp, 63908-3268-344, 63927-147-8186, and 63920-517-1059.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Agriculture, or DA, said that the Philippines remains optimistic about advancing sustainable agricultural trade and strengthening its partnership with Cambodia to ensure food security and supply resilience. The statement followed a bilateral meeting between Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. and Cambodian Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries Tina on September 9, held on the sidelines of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s state visit to Cambodia. Chu Laurel said Cambodian agricultural exports could help meet the Philippines' market demands amid the country's expanding population. Among these key agricultural export goods are rice, fish, meat, and vegetables. Dith, for his part, expressed hope to expand exports of Cambodia's premium aromatic rice to the Philippines, noting the increasing demand in Manila and other urban centers. As of September 4, Cambodia accounted for only 2,430 metric tons or MT of rice imports out of the country's more than 2.9 million MT total arrivals. Vietnam remains the Philippines' top rice supplier, contributing over 2.3 million metric tons. Chu Laurel, however, assured his counterpart that the Philippines is preparing to welcome more agricultural products from Cambodia. In February, both countries entered into a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, on agricultural and agribusiness cooperation during the state visit of Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet to Manila. The agreement seeks to strengthen investments in Cambodia's agriculture, particularly in the rice industry, alongside exploration of possible trade in vegetables and meat, as well as training and technical exchange.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, the top defense officials of the Philippines and Japan discussed the importance of maritime cooperation amid regional challenges during a meeting in South Korea. In a statement, the Department of National Defense, or DND, said the meeting between Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. and Japanese Defense Minister Nakatani Gen took place in the silence of the recently concluded Seoul Defense Dialogue. Teodoro and Nakatani also highlighted the importance of strengthening the Philippines' defense capabilities in air and maritime domain awareness, cybersecurity, and communications. Both officials also welcomed the entry into force of the Reciprocal Access Agreement, or RAA, on September 11. The deal, signed in Manila on July 8, 2024, facilitates greater military cooperation between the two nations by streamlining procedures for the deployment of forces in each other's territories for joint training and disaster response operations. The DND said preparations are underway for the formal approval of the implementing arrangements of the RAA. Also during the meeting, Teodoro and Nakatani affirmed their respective countries' commitment to advancing bilateral defense cooperation, enhancing regional security, and promoting peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacañang.